I'm Joe Love, Tidal Bass Manager for Maryland Department of Natural Resources, Inland Fisheries.
Hi, I'm Josh Newhart. I work with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service as a fish biologist and located in Annapolis, Maryland. Today we want to talk to you about ways to identify northern snakehead in the Potomac River, as well as possible ways to kill them if you encounter them. The northern snakehead is a species native to Asia. It was introduced to the Potomac River around 2004, and their population has continued to spread ever since. Northern snakehead adults, they can be identified by a long ventral fin and a blotch pattern. They tend to be black and white. Sometimes they can be almost all brown though, and they lose that pattern. Juveniles, they can be found usually nesting up in shallow water. You can find them in schools of several hundred to almost 1,000. They tend to be greenish or orange in color, and they're very noticeable, and usually you find 1 or 2 adults guarding that nest of juveniles. And they also have a long ventral fin. Occasionally they can be confused with naked goby or striped blenny. The adults are more commonly confused with the native species of bowfin. Northern snakehead are typically found in hydrilla or Eurasian milfoil, which we find throughout most of the Potomac. They're typically found in shallow waters. They nest in usually mats of hydrilla. They have floating eggs, and they'll guard this nest, like I said, until the juveniles hatch out, and eventually that school of juveniles will break up and the adults will return. During the winter, they tend to be found in deeper water with muddy habitat. So the fact that these northern snakehead are found with hydrilla means that they could outcompete other species, as I mentioned, like largemouth bass for habitat, which largemouth bass also need aquatic vegetation to spawn. Northern snakeheads can rapidly adapt to a lot of different ecosystems. They can breathe atmospheric oxygen, which means during periods of high temperature and low dissolved oxygen in the water, they're more likely to survive than other native species. This, along with their very fast growth and the fact that they eat fish, can cause these other negative impacts throughout the Potomac River and other areas where they might be introduced. So we want to limit the spread of northern snakehead within the Potomac, as well as throughout the Chesapeake Bay watershed.
We're asking anglers to kill northern snakehead whenever they catch them, and we need to remind you guys that it is against federal and state law to transport northern snakehead alive. So today we're going to show you how to kill northern snakehead both quickly and painlessly. There are 3 ways to kill the northern snakehead: decapitation, evisceration, cutting open its gut, or pulling out its gill arches. We recommend cutting off its head because it's the quickest and most painless for the fish. Just make sure that you cut through the spinal cord of the fish. And this year, if you do catch and kill a northern snakehead, we're asking you to go ahead and take a picture of that fish and send in the stats for that fish, the size and where you caught it and how you caught it, what kind of tackle you were using, whether it was a jig or a frog, and send that information into the angler's log. And at the end of the year, I'm going to pick out 3 lucky folks to win prizes that we have for you for killing and helping to control the snakehead population.
The United States Fish and Wildlife Service is conducting several experiments using tagged northern snakeheads. If you capture one of these fish, please kill the fish immediately using one of the methods described in this video. Then, call the number on your screen to report the catch. Please include the tag number, your specific location, length, weight if possible, and any other relevant information you may have. This information will help the United States Fish and Wildlife Service keep track of fish migration, growth patterns, and expansion into other areas.